Well, I suppose my first question is just kind of what your predictions are for tomorrow.
I think it's going to be a great game. I really do think. I think Auburn is a really good football team that just hadn't put a complete game together yet.
Right.
And when you watch the film and you watch each unit, offense and defense, perform, when they're at the top of their game, they're one of the best teams in the country. It's just putting that together for 4 quarters. Defense, offense, special teams as well, hitting on all cylinders. They just hadn't played that complete game yet. And I think that's why people are optimistic. I think they have an opportunity to do it. They have really good players, coach really well at times. And I think, these are the type of games that kind of get you to go the extra yard and per se and try to put a complete game together so you can have success. And most of the time you're trying to get these games into the 4th quarter. You're trying to create something to make sure that in the 4th quarter it's still within reach or you got a little lead. And I think that's the way they're going to play. But I just want to see them put a complete game together offensively, defensively, and on special teams. And if they do, they're one of the better teams in the country. They're ranked 10 now, but if you look at Auburn and you look at the Clemson loss, which was a 14-6 game, and the offense played terrible, so that tells you how good their defense is. And then LSU, you up by 20 and you give up a 20-point lead. We could be sitting here talking about an 8-1 team right now, maybe 6 or 7 in the country, as opposed to being 10. But I think they are 10 because they get recognized as being one of those teams.
It seems they need to combine maybe that first half and second half success into one game.
Yeah. And Gus talked about it after the LSU loss. He talked about he didn't really come out. He tried to preserve a win instead of continuing to keep his foot on the gas and continuing to press to try to win the game and win it handily. And I mean, he knows in this conference that you can't do that. And I think he had that discussion with his players. And by what they've shown since, it is resonating.
And, I mean, a lot of fans have kind of put him on the hot seat this season. Do you think that's deserving, or do you think maybe they're being a little too tough?
I don't think so. I think that's just the nature of what we're in now. You fire Gus Malzahn, first question is, who are you going to get? And number 2 is, if you get somebody, are they going to be better than what he's done in his whole career? That's hard to do. I mean, he's won games.
Against teams like Bama, too.
Exactly. So I just, the hot seat talk has kind of become the hot button thing to say, and I don't see it being the case. Fans gripe when teams lose in this conference. The fans want the coaches fired. That's just, and we have to get used to that new dynamic in the SEC. But hopefully the administration and everybody is being smart about it and realizing that they have a really good coach that needs to take the next step to become a consistent contender. But at any given year, he can have his team where they need to be.
Now, if Auburn were to make it to the SEC championship, do you think that the committee would accept Auburn as a 2-loss team, or do you think that
it's tricky?
That's too
because I think you'll have some conference champions with 1 loss, and it's just how do you compare it? Is if Auburn beats Georgia and Alabama and then beats Georgia again in the SEC championship, how does that resume stack up against the 1-loss conference champion? And then you make that decision. The committee prides itself on trying to make these decisions based on the whole body of work. So at the end, they'll have the strongest resume in the country if they were able to do that, which would carry a lot of weight in that committee room. I just don't know if they would set that precedent, because we actually had this situation last year with Penn State, and they were a 2-loss team, Big Ten Conference champion, beat a team that actually got into the playoffs. So it'll be a tough road to do it. But if you beat the number 1, number 2, and then come back and beat Georgia, who would probably be either number 1 at that time, number 4 or 5 at that time, then there's a shot for sure. They control their own destiny. They just have to play. They can't leave it up to, if we do this, will the committee let us in? Just go try to win every game and let the chips fall where they may.
Game by game.
I remember this school going 13-0 and not playing in the national championship. So, as crazy as that was to me, but when you look at how this playoff system has been set up, I think it'll get tricky if they were able to pull that late season slate off, and they had a one-loss conference champion that they had to decide between.
Right.
Yeah.
That would be tough.
Yeah.
Well, what do you think tomorrow is going to be the deciding factor for Auburn? What do you think it's going to take for Auburn?
They have to have the ability to run the football, and that doesn't mean they run for 200 yards. It needs to be a balanced attack. Jarrett Stidham operates better when he has the threat of run because of the play-action passes. His accuracy is as good as it gets in the country when he has time to deliver the ball down the pocket, out of the pocket. So I think for the number one thing is to try to stay ahead of the chains, meaning make it 3rd and 4s, 3rd and 5s at the most. If you can continue to create drives like that, you have the athletes that can make plays and pick up first downs. But if they can't get the run game going, it's going to be a tough day because I don't think anybody can just drop back and throw the ball on Georgia 40 times. They're too good up front. They play well on the back end. But if Auburn can stay balanced offensively, then they'll have a chance to win this game and keep Georgia on their heels. And then defensively, I think they can play with anybody in the country. Now, the question is, can you stop the run? Can you stop Chubb and Sony Michel and Harriet and Swift and Elijah Holyfield? Can you bottle those guys up enough to put Jake Fromm in situations where he has to throw the football on some long yardage situations?
And do you think Fromm will be playing the majority of the games?
Oh, for sure. Yeah, Fromm will be the guy. I mean, he's proven himself and his worth, and I don't think you have a course correction just because it's a big game. I think you go with the guy that you've been riding, and he's been hot and playing well. He hasn't been asked to do a lot because they've been running the ball so successfully. But when he's had to throw the football, he's been accurate and he's hit some pretty good passes. So I think the confidence that Kirby has in him is uber through the roof. So I don't see why you would change anything unless he was injured or just had a 2-3 interception first half and you wanted to see something different.
Right.
But I doubt that'll be the case.
Well, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
I appreciate you
Thank
talking
you.
to me.
Absolutely.